Production of KMmedia.pro. Welcome back to Positive Talk Radio. Our goal is simple: to explore evolving ideas one conversation at a time. So come on over into our world. I know you'll like it, because on today's show... today we get a great day to talk to somebody who is a musician. She is an entertainer. She's an author. She's a teacher. She does all kinds of cool stuff. And we're going to talk to her about her company, which is called Pipsqueak Piano, and a bunch of other stuff. But first, I have to talk to Nathan. Nathan, how are you?
Good morning, Kevin. I'm doing well. And believe it or not, at one point I was a pipsqueak, and I also played piano.
Really? I was,
yes.
Ask you if you were, I know that you are working in a church doing some things and stuff, but I didn't know if you were an actual musician.
Before doing sound, I was playing keyboards and stuff like that for the church, doing like synth type stuff. And then before that, I took piano lessons probably about 10 to 12 years. Started off as a little pipsqueak playing Ode to Joy on like a 20-key keyboard.
And how old were you when you started doing that?
Oh, I probably had to have been like between 3 or 5.
And that didn't change your life, but it sure added to it.
It definitely did. I still look back on that and remember, my grandparents had this upright piano, and I really enjoyed playing on it and actually figuring out what the notes were and making them work rather than just getting to the piano, bang, 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 bang with my fists and listening to the loud, fun sounds. I actually tried to make something out of it.
Well, cool. That's it's really sad. We had a grand piano in our house when my children were growing up. And you know who the only one who played the piano?
Ooh, probably. I want to say it was you.
No.
Were you a piano player too?
It was my cat.
Oh, hey, keyboard cat before keyboard cat was cool.
Because what she would do is she would plunk something, and then because she could see the hammer going down, she would plunk it and then look at the hammer and then plunk something else. But I couldn't get the kids to play.
All the mechanics of the piano.
Yeah, and but I couldn't get the kids to do it. So they had that for years in the house, and nobody played it.
Especially a grand piano too.
I know, and it was really sad. But in any event, we've got first of all, what's the weather going to be like this weekend? Good.
Over this weekend, looks like we're going to have sunny skies on Saturday and just a little bit of clouds on Sunday. But temperature is nice and moderate. High 70s, low 80s.
Perfect.
I'm so used to being in the high 80s. It's just like, that's the flow I want to go with.
Yeah, that there's a big difference between if it's 78 and 88. I don't know what that is, but for me, it's just a big difference.
It determines whether you put on your air conditioner unit or not.
If I had one, that would have been a good idea, yes. But
or open or close your windows.
That does work. And fans galore, fans everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Get that circulation going.
Good. Well, I'm glad that you're here because you're a musician. I played guitar for a while, but gave that up years ago. But I'm glad you're a musician. So if you want to chime into the conversation that we're going to have with Brittany Smith, you can do that anytime you want to.
Sure. Well, let's go ahead and bring her on as the featured performance for today.
Absolutely. Brittany, how are you, my friend?
Hi, Kevin. I'm doing well. And Nathan, thank you so much for sharing that story. That's so cool about your past.
Yeah, it's amazing how much, being a little kid and doing all those things plays into your future. You never realize that.
Big time. Well, there are actually studies out there that have correlated piano and music, especially taking that or learning it at a young age to later success in so many fields, not just piano, but just in general in life. So, I second that. I think that there's definitely something there. There's something profound about being exposed to music at such a young age.
What do the studies tell us? Why is that an important thing?
Now, the why is interesting. I think the why is probably what scientists and people on that field would probably know better. But the studies And you can go to my website, which is www.pipsqueakpiano.com, Pipsqueak piano.com. And on my website, I have a link that says studies show. And I have gone through the internet and done my research about, there's things from Cambridge, there's things from Harvard, there's things from like big names and big studies that have done. And a lot of them were with piano, some were with violin, some were in general with music. And they show that students who participate in these activities at younger ages tend to do better in school. They tend to do better in higher academics. They tend to get higher grades, even if they don't continue on those instruments. That's what was really fascinating. Now, these studies have been done, well, I would say for a long time. You know what I mean? They've been started a long time ago, but the links that you'll find are recent links for studies that have been done. So please check that out. It's really a great thing. That's one of the reasons that when my son's daycare asked me to do music, I thought, well, gosh, yes, absolutely. And let's do piano, you know? So, and in doing so, I found, surprisingly, that there are not a lot of piano or music or musicians that are offering to ages under 5. That seems to be an age group that misses out on piano lessons. So that kind of became my mission, to expose and expand piano and music education for preschoolers.
That's really cool. Now you do that, and so your target audience is under 6. Is that right?
Yes.
And so if you are a mommy or a daddy, or a grandmommy or a granddaddy, and you have got a preschooler that you would like to give them a taste of something great, it would be awesome for you to contact Brittany and to set up a time when you guys could talk about it, because they also, I was looking, my granddaughter has a little itty bitty teeny weeny piano, and that she can sit on the bench and actually have her feet on the ground. And and I had no idea that they made such a thing.
Yep, I got one right here, actually. There it is.
Now that is a baby grand piano.
That's so adorable.
That really is. And now is that, do those pianos have all the keys?
Well, they don't have all 88 keys, no, but they do function. That's one of the, also on my website, you'll see an approved piano list. I always recommend that starting with ages under 6, so ages 5 and under, that you go ahead and purchase what is considered a toy, but it's a functional toy. So for instance, this one behind me, where each of the keys still play, they still have sound, every single one of them, and it's a fun sound. It's like I think of Schrodinger or Schroeder. That's what his name is, Schroeder on
Peanuts.
Peanuts. I love, you know what I mean? And he played this most masterful music, but he was on these little toy pianos. But frankly, it's better to use these. They're more approachable for children at their age. They're a little more accurate for their hands to be in the correct position, and then they're not as expensive if something were to happen to it, which is okay, you know.
And being that a 6-year-old is playing with it, sometimes they can break and stuff like that. But it's important because Nathan.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, how is it making the tone? Is it like a xylophone, so it's like a hammer hitting a xylophone bar, or is there actual strings?
There's actual strings, yeah.
Ooh.
So especially,
so you got to tune it sometimes.
Yeah, well, and you can hear it's getting a little out of tune. So that's where you'll find the difference between the like $40 little instruments and the $150 ones, because those ones, that's pretty pricey for a toy, right? But those $150 ones are because those strings are much stronger. The sound will be better, and the quality will last longer. So, but
it does have a little bit more childish tone to it, like not a typical, warm sound of a piano. It's a little bit brighter and more appealing to a kid's ears.
Yeah, it's a little more honky tonk. That kind of piano, you can hear it, and it's fun. But there's also little keyboards even that they make where all of the white keys and black keys function, and usually they're about 30 keys, and all of these are perfect. They're perfect for that age group, because exactly like you said, it's very likely that something will happen. And I had a really wonderful conversation with a friend of mine who is a doctorate in psychology, and he told me that the part of the brain that expresses love and affection also is connected to the part of the brain for aggression, which is why sometimes little itty bitty kids, like, it's so cute, and they squeeze it, and they gotta rip the thing apart. That's just, there's a weird function in the brain. So sometimes when a kid runs to the toy instrument and they're so excited and they want to just hit it, and they often do hit the piano like this, we want to provide an environment where, okay, that's a really strong sound, but maybe let's play like this, where we don't say no to it, we say yes to it. It's okay to love the instrument, but let's modify how we approach it. And then if something does happen and they do break it, that's another lesson. Look what happened when we did that. As opposed to, if you're really saying no, don't do that, you're constantly saying no to them. I think that a child may not separate the no from love to the no from aggression. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And my granddaughter she's on the spectrum, and so she has a tendency to be a little wild from time to time, but when she's playing the piano, she is very calm and relaxed, and she's very focused on that because she wants to create a cool sound. So she actually is she's playing music, she's playing songs.
Yeah.
And she's very calm when she does it, and so that is a real great outlet for them, if they're on the spectrum or whether they're not. But it also teaches discipline, doesn't it?
Big time. That's 100% at the end of the day, the thing that we're giving children is to sit down, have a task, complete the task, love that you did it, and go. And go. So that's 100% discipline is one of the great secret gifts that taking piano gives.
I got to ask you then, what do you recommend as far as, because I played guitar, and there were days in the summertime when my mother said, you have to practice an hour a day or I'm not going to pay for lessons. And so consequently, in the summertime, it would not be something that I would want to do because I wanted to go play ball or do something else. And so she quit paying for lessons because I wasn't willing to commit to an hour a day. As a teacher of a 6-year-old whose attention span ain't that long, how do you teach them, or how much do you recommend that the parents have them practice on a daily basis?
Yes, absolutely. Well, practice is always the struggle, not just with this age, even with older age. Practice is the struggle even for college. Okay.
I can attest to that.
Yeah, that's where we get into discipline, right? So practice is something that I think that we can start to instill at this age, and we can start to teach what it is. And so I try to pair practice with a habit that usually happens every day. Like, remember when you brush your teeth? Right after you brush your teeth, try to remember that you go play one song on piano. And now at this point, we're not really sit down and play an hour. That's too much to ask. That's a lot to ask, actually. How do I want to say this? An hour if it's focused, but if you're just kind of playing for the hour for the sake of the hour, then it's practice lost, really. It would be better to sit down for 10 minutes or 15 minutes and really focus your brain, like, okay, this song is hard, and this specific part of this song is hard. I'm just going to play that for 10 minutes, that hard part, and then I'm done. Then I'm either going to like play whatever I want, or I'm going to like go have a chocolate milk. That's what I always tell my students. Go have a chocolate milk after you practice. Treat yourself. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. So Nathan,
Yeah.
when you were 5 years old, how were you mandated to practice a certain amount of time?
Well,
Yes.
now we're getting into me, because I was a weird kid, because I wanted to play so bad that I would sit on the piano for 8 hours a day, and my parents would be like, "You need to go outside." So I was a different kid.
Well, I'm guilty as not practicing enough. I would be like 30 minutes a day is what my teacher asked of me to do. And maybe about 10 to 15 years old, that was still hard to do this 30 minutes a day.
Oh, I can only imagine. Well, I had, and when you're playing guitar and you don't have the calluses built up on your fingers, and it can hurt if you're playing too much. So it's something that needs to be, I think, a gradual stepping up to be able to do that, because it really did. So anyway.
It does. So, to ring around, answer your question a little bit, I noticed that one of the issues and one of the reasons that so many piano teachers don't take lessons under 6 is because the lesson length is usually at a minimum 30 minutes. And so you're asking a student who's 6 or younger, 5, 3, to sit down, sit still, look at this book for 30 minutes. And simply that structure just doesn't work. It doesn't work for that age group. They're too energetic. They're too tactile. They have a different way to approach them. So my program cuts that lesson in half. So we have a one-on-one time of about 10 to 15 minutes where just that happens. We get you here and excited about piano time, and then, okay, do you remember what we're doing? We're learning this one thing. Do you remember where it is? Show me where that is. Yay, here's a sticker or a stamp, some kind of thing. It's very short, very brief, and then they go back. And then at the same time, once a week, we also get together for a group class for about 30 minutes. And that kind of gives each student about 45 minutes of piano every week, and it reinstilled those classes. And in group class, we get to do really fun things like play with floor pianos. We get to do all kinds of little games that we do with our fingers and our hands. We have games with YouTube. We do all kinds of really fun stuff.
So is it true that if you're the parent and you're saying, look, I'm paying for this and I mandate 30 minutes a day, can't you turn the child off and it becomes a chore rather than a gift, and rather than something they want to do? If it's something they have to do, they're less likely to want to continue doing it.
Yeah, I would say that's 100% the teeter-totter that is so hard to manage. And to answer your question, I'm going to be a little indirect with it, because I don't want to discourage parents from trying to set those up. It's certainly a good thing. At the same time, if you push too hard, you might take away some of the love, right? Mm-hmm. So that it is hard. It is so hard. It is something I wouldn't say all of my students struggle with, but I would say all my parents struggle with. How do I get them to practice more? And I say, just continue to encourage them, show them the videos, try to be like, hey, what's the thing you're learning? I try to do it in piano too. It's something we do. But as long as students show up to lesson and they're wanting to be there and they're wanting to do it and they're learning in each lesson, then we can take that on. We can learn it. But to kind of ring around there, yes, if you're a parent and you're forcing, is the way I used to say it, forcing the instrument, then it sometimes can be a shot in the foot, and that has to be the teeter-totter you have to be really careful with.
Now, you've been doing music and studying music forever, and also vocals and your voice, and you've done a bunch of stuff, and we're going to talk about the band you play in a little bit.
Oh yeah, I do all the music.
Yes, but first, tell us your story. How did you started playing young, and then you just continued playing? Well, you were an 8-hour-a-day kid, and your parents were saying, "I'm tired of you playing today. Go."
Well, because all I knew was like C major scale. I played a C major scale for 8 hours a day. They're like, "Oh my god." So I'm an only child, right? And my mother was a musician. She was a singer in rock bands, and she toured. And I remember being a little kid and watching her on the TV and wanting her to be home, but she had to be at rock tour. So there's an experience I sort of share. My son has a similar thing with me, and it's okay. I know the growing up of that. And inside of that, I really wanted to do piano. My mom was like, I don't know, she's too young. Yeah, I'm gonna wait till she's old enough. I really wanted to do piano. So started flute when I was like 7. I really wanted piano. So finally I was like 8 or 9. She let me get piano lessons. So at like 13, I started getting voice lessons, and I knew what I wanted to do kind of my whole life. I always was drawn to music. I'm one of those people where when it's really good music, I get chills all over the body. You know what I mean? It's just, I definitely knew my calling on this planet and have gone forward with that. I've helped musicians, and when I was 16, started to teach piano. I think 18 or 19, I started to teach voice, and then I have helped several musicians and singers on their own get through their degrees, and who are off now doing wonderful things out in the music world. So I feel a little, not a little, I feel very proud that I've sort of mothered these other musicians who are really off doing wonderful things on this planet in music. And then I get to then kind of grandmother in a certain way these preschoolers and create this program where now I'm helping other teachers and putting them into school. So that's the crux of my program. If you as a parent kind of contacted me, I'd ask what daycare that you go to. What my program does is we place piano teachers who are certified and trained in to teach preschoolers and use my books and my curriculum. They go into daycares. They would go right into your kid's daycare, and it would all happen at the convenience of that. You wouldn't have to go anywhere extra. It would happen right there, and we send you video of every lesson. So that's kind of how that works.
I gotta ask you, because it seems to me that if you've got a teacher that's going into a daycare and they're playing, and they have a child that's playing, and everybody else is standing around watching, it's like they don't want to stand around and watch. They want to do it too. And
Yeah.
so, do you find that when one of your teachers, or when you go into a daycare, that you end up with 2, 3, or 4 or 5 different students because
Yeah.
they're all interested in doing that?
Well, I have so many things to say about this. I'm about to word vomit at you for like 10 minutes. I have
Uh,
so much
feel,
to say
feel,
about this.
feel free. You can word vomit all you like.
All right, well, here we go. Because this comes a little bit around this game of capitalism. So, or rather, this game of money that we play, not capitalism. It's this game of money that we on this entire planet have decided to play. And that's okay. It's fine. So, in having to play that, I wish I could go into a daycare and just teach piano to everyone, because I can't. And then I could find teachers who want to do that and put them in there just because they can. But I do have to play this game of money, right? And that is the unfortunate part. So the students that are enrolled and registered are the ones we take. But having said that, I spent a year really not liking that I would go in and so many students would want to, but I can't take them because they're not enrolled, right? But what I can do is I can come and I can do singing and dance for the whole school. So what my program does, if you are a daycare that really wants to have some kind of music in your program, please reach out to me. Please contact me, because if you enroll the piano program and we have registrations happening for piano, then we offer up to an hour of free music at your daycare, where we'll come in and we'll do singing and dancing for the whole daycare. That way nobody feels out. Nobody will ever feel left out.
That's brilliant. Yeah.
Well, it came to me because, you know how this came to me? Partly because I do singing and dance at the daycares that are already enrolled. It's a separate program. But of all the daycares that I called, I found so many don't have music at
Right.
all, any music at all. And when we started to negotiate price, and I'm talking big name daycares, and I'm not going to name them, but big name daycares, these are corporate daycares that are everywhere. And there's several of them that I contacted. And it comes down to, after the pandemic, all of the extracurricular activities that were coming into daycares ceased. For the most part, it ceased. And the owners prefer it that way. It's easier. That's what I was told.
That it's easier for them just to
Not have anyone come in, just keep it this way. No, we don't, you know what? We don't need it. It's easier this way. We don't need to have someone, because it takes something to bring in an outside vendor into a daycare, right? They have to be fingerprinted and certified. There's a certification that the state also has to do, right? So it takes something to bring someone in, and I've done that process. But what I said, frankly, right on the phone to these people, I said, well, that sucks for the kids, doesn't it?
And you'd think that, now this is just me putting my marketing hat on, if every daycare operates the same way and you decide that you're going to operate your daycare a little bit differently and you offer some of these things that go above and beyond basic warehousing of children, that you might get more people that are interested in their child being excited about going to daycare. My children hated daycare because it wasn't like they were doing anything fun. They were just being warehoused there until we picked them up, and they hated it. I had my youngest son is an escape artist, and he used to escape all the time because he hated it. He absolutely, but it's because they didn't engage their mind.
No. And that's and you know, I won't take all the credit. I think that Stepping Stones Kids Academy in Redmond, that really is the daycare that helped me begin and initiate this program that has allowed to go into other places, even into other states. That daycare is a really phenomenal daycare. They really are. So having said that, I will say also that I get a lot of students who come to me and say, or parents that say music is their favorite class. That students go home and say, I just absolutely love the music in the dance class. And it only happens once a week. So it really is a favored thing. So yes, I think that it was missing. And I decided, well, if my mission is to expand music in preschool, and here's preschool literally telling me no because it's just easier, well then I'll give you something really, really easy. I'll literally give you free music to bring this in. So that's where that came from, and that's what I'm hoping. And yeah, from a marketing standpoint, I would hope too that some things, but you know, they have their reasonings, and I was talking to pretty big daycares, so like big corporate names.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, I'm like nobody to them probably.
Well, and big daycares, they've got a certain operating system that they operate by. I used to sell them food, and it was the same thing. It was like they would get the same things every week, and every week you try and sell them something different. It's like, no, it's just easier. Our cook knows how to do this, and that's it. And so the kids, they're not engaged with the food necessarily, or the nutrition involved with it nearly as much as they could be. So, but by the way, we're talking with Brittany Smith. She not only has a company called Pipsqueak Piano, and go to pipsqueakpiano.com to find out more about her, but she's also a rock star. And she does well. I got to tell you, and in the second half of the program, we need to take a little break. But when we come back, we're going to talk about what's it like. Well, as a matter of fact, in August they're going to Sturgis.
That's
Now,
right.
if you don't know what Sturgis is, that's where 250,000 or so, give or take, Harley bikers go to a particular place, and they have several venues where they've got music in several venues and stuff. I'm going to ask her, what's it like for a pretty young girl like you, and you're also the other singing partner, who is what's your name again?
Crystal.
And you two are quite a pair. What's it like for you guys to be playing in front of a bunch of smelly old bikers? Now maybe that's a little I don't want anybody to come to my house who is a smelly old biker, so maybe it's stereotypical. But at the same time, it's with long beards and drinking beer and having a great time. I want to ask you about that, and also, what's it like to be a rock star and to play and to have and stuff like that. So we need to take a break, and
when we come back, I'm gonna think about that.
Yes, indeed. You think about that, and we'll be right back. By the way, we are also going to be on at 3:00 this afternoon on Kixie again. So this is our Positive Talk Radios on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So this is our Friday noon show. And then we have a 3:00 show on Kixie, and we have a wellness coach who is just really, really funny. And she had, we did a little short with her, and she got 5,000 views in like 3 weeks. And so,
Wow.
so stay tuned for that. Go to Kixie at 3, and but stay tuned for us for the rest of this hour, because we're going to talk to Brittany about what's it like? Because, a lot of people don't know what it's like. I've never been a rock star. I have no idea what it's like to do that thing. I've been on stage before, but never doing rock star stuff. And so it'll be interesting to talk about it. You're listening to Positive Talk Radio on KKNW 1150 AM. Nathan, take it away. Hey, PTR loyal listener. First, thanks for being in my dream. And second, I have a new concept in business to share with you. It's called socialpreneurship. So, what's that? Well, it's the idea that any company designates all profits, beyond expenses, to be awarded to a local or international charity or project which is working to achieve good in the world. KM Media is such a company. We believe that it's important for us to give back whenever possible and to make great things happen. So I hope you'll join us in creating this new business model that will positively impact all of us. In the next few weeks, we will lay out the plan and begin our fundraising efforts. So stay tuned for more details right here on Positive Talk Radio.
When you want to say more than words communicate, you can with flowers. Your custom boutique floral studio in Bothell, Washington is anaturaldesign.com, connecting you to nature through the language of flowers. Where your people are is where our flowers are beautiful. Your success is our goal. anaturaldesign.com at your fingertips today.
Hey, thanks for listening to Positive Talk Radio. Did you know that we're also a media production company? Well, surprise, we are. We can create all kinds of audio, video products to fill any need. Please visit kmmedia.pro/our-store for a complete list of products and services. In addition, do you need a great voice to add to your own website or any other project? I know that we can add depth and quality to your work. I've been told more times than I can count by many professionals in the business that my voice adds to the quality of the presentation. So, let me create something for you. Please contact me at kevin@kmmedia.pro and let's create something great. And welcome back to Positive Talk Radio. It's a Friday noon, 12:30. I hope you're having a nice lunch. I hope you're staying with us for the entire time. You can sit in your car and you can listen to us and listen to us talk to Brittany about what it's like to be a star. And just
you sell me so high. Thank you so much, Kevin. That's really sweet. And yes, Sturgis is an incredible show. This is actually our third year going. So feel a little old hat. No, I'm kidding. It's a different experience every time. And to answer your smelly old biker question, you're so funny. No, you know what? I would say, like you said, millions of people come through. The first year that we were there was one of the biggest years. It broke some record. It was incredible how many people were there. And I forget, I'm not going to name it, but I can tell you it was millions and millions of people were there. And then, the following year, I don't think it was as many, but it's up there still. You know what I mean? They have tons and tons of people, and they're all kinds, everywhere, all sorts of people you would never expect from just everyone, all sorts. And so I think it's an amazing experience. It certainly is a no PC experience.
Yeah, you can't be politically correct in a situation like that. But, it's interesting. Years ago on KKNW, I did a show called Kevin McDonald Presents, and we presented local rock bands, and it was a late at night show, and they would come into the studio and we would play, and they would play their music, and then we would talk to them and stuff like that. I've learned two things about rock people. Number one, you have to give them space to be able to talk the way they want to. But the other thing is you have to be careful of what they say, because they can use colorful language that's just not allowed on radio. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
We have and Nathan will attest to this. We have something called a 7-second delay, which means it is good, but which means that anytime somebody says something, and this is a little radio trivia for some folks, every time somebody says something like the F word or the S word or something like that, then they hit a button and it takes that half of a second off of the feed so that it sounds like you're gonna say, I was just going to, and then I was gonna, and so they don't get to say the word. But every time you hit the button, it takes a certain number of seconds off of that 7-second delay. Nathan, that's right, isn't it?
Yeah, some of those units sound delay will work like that. Kind of depends on what you have.
Well, this goes back to 2005, so this was like that, I think.
Yeah.
And have you ever run out of 7-second delay, Nathan?
Actually, the one I have gets rid of the entire 7 seconds at once, so you better be on your good behavior there, Brittany.
Oh, I see. You get a one-time shot.
Yeah, you get one time, and then you're off the air.
Yeah, because what happened in this case was I was doing a live show at the High Dive, which is in Fremont.
I was there last week. It's a great little place.
Great little place, and this one guy, he was fascinated with the F word. Now he was an adult, and you'd think that an adult could figure this out, but he kept on using it, and they kept on hitting the 7-second delay, and it went down to nothing. And so the gentleman that was the board op at the time canceled the show and said, "No, you're out of here." So
that is too bad.
So, but they're famous for using colorful metaphors.
Yes, and that's not the only thing too. I would say that rock musicians and performing musicians kind of have a reputation of being. I think the slang word is like flaky, I guess it would be, but really just like maybe a little irresponsible or not showing up on time or prepared, or this tends to be, and I'm not talking small acts, I'm talking big acts. I'm talking like big names that don't show up on time. So it tends to be accepted as everybody does it. And I say this because my band has really, part of our mission is that we want to be the band that stands out. We want to be the one we're like, wow. So we clean up the stage after we were on the stage. We are always on time, guaranteed. Like that will always happen. We're always prepared. We know our sound stuff and have it all coordinated. We try to be as nice as possible to the sound guys because we know that they're always going through stuff, right? Like we really try to be a different band. And then to the point about cursing, I would say that Crystal and I are pretty good about it because we both have kids, so we tend to have a little switch that's pretty easy to bink, 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 we're not in rehearsal. So that tends to be okay. It's probably a little harder for other members of our band, but it's been acceptable. There was one member though that I will say that we let go because of an incident where we were on a stage for family people, and it happened I think a couple of times where he said the F word in the microphone to the stage, where to the kids, and that's just Unfortunately, they don't know, fans of ours or people who come see us, they don't know his name, but they do know mine and they know Crystal's. And so they come to us like, wow, why did you do that? Why did your band do that? So that's that represents everybody. Everybody in the band represents everybody. And so we got together and kind of decided it was necessary to move on. But yeah, we take that stuff in Limberlost very seriously, big time.
One of the saddest things was I got kind of close to, and I forget their name as right now, but I got kind of close to a young rock band. They had two really, really gifted guitar players. They had their lead singer, they called it, he had LSD, lead singer disease, but he was but he was
No, I won't give it enough time for that because I'm going to steal that. Thank you, everybody.
You can have that. That's free. But the guitar player said, "Yeah, we got a lead singer, and he's got lead singer disease. He's got LSD." And so, but they would go to Sturgis. I saw them at the High Dive, and they had a tendency to drink heavily on stage. And I don't mean lightly. I mean the lead singer, before he began singing, took like 4 fingers of bourbon in a glass and downed the whole thing. And then by the end of the night, he could barely stand up. I don't know how he sang, but he could barely stand up. Anyway, they went to Sturgis like 4 years in a row. And then after I wasn't around them anymore, they put out a GoFundMe, because coming back from Sturgis in their van, or in their mobile home, they got into an accident and everything was destroyed, all their equipment and everything. And it's because they weren't being responsible about the music. And I stopped hanging out with them because they weren't responsible. I thought they played well, but they weren't responsible enough to handle the music well and handle their personal responsibilities and stuff like that. So so now they're done, because they can't they lost all their equipment and they ended up breaking up and all that kind of stuff. But and I know that you guys are a little bit older, so you don't do that. You take the music seriously, which is, I really appreciate that.
Well, we take the business seriously too. I understand that. I think this is also part of the rapport, when people do those mind bending kind of, drugs or whatever they get their hands on. You do tend to have creativity, right? That's just whatever, it happens. And so music can, okay, but we take the business seriously. We take our music seriously. We take the business seriously too. That's kind of the difference too, right? And if we're talking business, you don't show up to work drunk.
No.
Right? You don't show up to work high. You don't show up to work messed up where you can't stand up. That's just not how you do. You show up to work on time and prepared, and you're looking good because you want to come back, right? Like, that's the thing. So we take that very, very, very seriously, I would say. And it's not like we don't take a drink. Well, of course, we're there at Sturgis. Like, yeah, of course I'm gonna have a drink, but I'm gonna be able to sing on stage. Everyone in the band will be able to do their part, and we're very serious about that.
And the name of the band again is
Limberlost. Definitely check us out. We've got huge things coming up. I'd love to share about it. But, to your point too, we've worked with some people, some really awesome people, producers of ours who wouldn't work with other bands because of those issues, because they would see alcoholism or drug use, and then chose to work with our band because they don't see that, which is really nice.
Well, as a producer, I would imagine that you're interested in producing the music and having it being done well, and having people listening to you when you make suggestions and stuff. And if people are not paying attention because they're too busy with filling their flask, as it were, then that would be a difficult place to be. And it also takes a lot more time, I would think.
Yeah. It does.
So,
Frank, it's a waste of time, right? Yeah, it is.
So I got to ask you, because what's it like? Because most of us, and I've asked people that are actors who've been on the red carpet, and people that have interviewed actors that have been on the red carpet. And
see, you're way over. I've never done that.
Yeah. Well, see, and I ask people that have done unusual things, because most of us don't get the opportunity to do that. So what's it like when you and your band, you're backstage and you get announced, and the crowd is excited to see you and stuff, and you walk onto stage? What does that feel like?
Well, I stutter because there isn't a good word for it. There's no good combination of words for it, but I can tell you that feeling is probably one of the feelings that motivates all musicians, because once you feel that, once you're on the stage and you get the energy, and it isn't, I think some people probably get like an ego thing out of it. It's really actually taking ego aside, because when I'm on stage, I don't feel like me. If I were bringing myself on stage, I'd be scared to death. Right? Like I feel exposed, like I'm showing something for me. It's more like you put on a mask and you choose to wear that mask in front of the audience, and you have a purpose. Your purpose is to delight and inspire and get those people to have a good time. And so when that starts to happen, when you go on stage and you hear delight and cheer, and they're excited for you and they're dancing. I think the very first time I had people dancing to one of my songs was a profound moment for me where I really, oh, I'm having a little thing with my phone. Let's see if it's still good here.
No, you good.
We still got you.
Are we good? Okay, I just got a thing saying my device is overheating, so I'm gonna turn the screen brightness down. So
if it blows up, we'll know.
Is it plugged into a charger right now?
Hey, we made it 48 minutes this time.
If it's plugged into a charger right now, you can unplug it.
Oh, it is. Will that is that what's probably doing it? Okay.
Go ahead and unplug it.
Yeah.
You're good.
There, I did that. Perfect. So, yeah, I would say that the very first time I saw people really dancing to a song that I wrote, that was one of my original compositions. And, afterwards people going, yeah, play more like that, and really cheering. That's a profound moment because you feel really fulfilled. Like you've done the job that you've been put on this planet to do, which was to delight and inspire others.
Well, first of all, Nathan, was that you that wrote that talked about Inagata de Vida?
Oh, yeah. I'm not promoting, writing music after drinking a bunch of wine, but I was just thinking about your discussion about that. And the song, very popular, Inagata de Vida by Iron Butterfly, was actually recorded after, who was it? Ron Bushy said that Doug Engelda wrote the song one evening while drinking a whole bunch of wine. And it was supposed to be in the Garden of Eden, but the producers and whatever could not comprehend what he was singing, so it became Inagata de Vida.
That's a funny story.
Amazing story.
And now it's like a top 40 song,
of all time, and it was like it was supposed to be in the Garden of Eden. And
well, that's why I had to acknowledge and there is a weird connection between like people getting drunk and writing really good songs. I'm certainly not going to say do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah. But when people are reacting to a song that you wrote, and as an example, I've often asked myself, Paul McCartney has been on tour for like ever, and he always
start. You know what I mean? They started the whole thing. Basically, yeah. That's how I see it.
And now he's 80, and he still goes on stage and he still plays "Hey Jude," and wow. I can't. But the reason he gets excited about playing that is that the entire stadium or 50,000 people or whatever's there, they're all da, 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 and they're all doing that together in unison, and that would have to give you goosebumps.
Yeah. And I'm brought to another story. It was an interview I saw of Mariah Carey, where she made a similar comment, and I was really surprised by it. It stuck with me, this comment she made, that her least favorite song of her discography is Hero, which is the one that's probably one of the most famous songs that she's written, and she's constantly asked to sing it. I mean, obviously not as the Christmas song is like her big one, right? But she's not a big fan. She's not a big fan of that one. She doesn't like it, but she goes out and she does it because she constantly gets the request to do it. You know what I mean? And so she does. And she fulfills that request. And the question was like, what do you do if you do songs you ever hate your songs? You stop singing them because you hate them? And she goes, no, not if people want them. If I know that people want that, or people are coming to that show because they want that song, I'm going to sing that song. And I remember, and I'm paraphrasing a lot about whatever that interview was, but I remember that sticking with me. Like that's a real professional who would do that, and that's serving the music. It's serving the point, right?
Well, and I think that when you get to be like Mariah Carey or Brittany Smith or people like that,
you stop it.
that you honor the craft, and honoring the craft means that if you've got a song that you're going to have people standing in the aisle, dancing back and forth, swaying back and forth with, taking their lighters and lighting their lighter, and it means something, because, you don't know what the music that you've produced and created, you don't know how it has impacted somebody's life. I'll give you an example. You know who Leanne Womack is?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
She did a song back in 2001, 2002, which was oh gosh, it was oh, I can't remember the name of it suddenly. But it was I Hope You Dance.
Okay.
And that song led me to leave my position as a district sales manager and go on the radio. I used
Wow.
that song. I edited that song and used it for the opening of the show. And so I've never met her. I probably never will meet her. But she
Oh,
had played a fundamental place in my life that has led to today. So 20
wow.
years later, after 2,000 interviews and 2,000 shows, I'm still doing it today, and she's partially responsible for that.
That's incredible. Wow. What an incredible story, Kevin. Like, you never know when you put out art, how that art is going to impact other people. And that's the same too about being on the radio. When you do what you do and you have the guests that you have on, Kevin, and you're speaking, that you never know who's listening and who's being impacted and whose day or potentially life has been changed because of what they heard.
Do you know why I do this? I do this primarily the main reason that I'm so passionate about this was the last day that I did the show in 2003, and they told me they couldn't pay my bills, so they told me, "Yeah, you're out of here." And I said, "Can I have one more show?" And when I announced the show was going off the air, the phone lines filled up. And it filled up with people that had things to say like, I'm sitting here looking at a pile of books on the floor that I bought because of your show. And another
Mhm.
one said, I met two people that are the best friends of my life because of your show. And another one said, I had breast cancer and now I'm feeling much better because of the nutritionist you had on. His name is
Mhm.
Jerry Armour. He's since passed. But the one that it got me the most, and I've told this story a lot, I don't think I've told it on the air, is that a gal called, and it was Carol from Bainbridge Island. And Carol, if you're still with us, God bless you. But she said, we are sitting here and we are devastated that you are going off the air. And I said, well, I'm sorry. And this is, I explained it again why. And she said, no, you don't understand. I'm an Alzheimer's caregiver. And she and I sit here and listen to you because you can still reach her. The way you laugh makes her laugh. And she says, there he goes again. And so it was a moment in time that taught me that we all have an impact. We can have a positive impact or a negative impact, but we all have an impact on everybody that we meet in life. And so don't poo poo it. Don't say, oh, I just, whatever. It's important. And what you do is extremely important. And I'm sorry I brought you to tears, but
You did. No, don't apologize. It was a very good story. Thank you.
but that taught me that this is what I need to be doing. And I'm hoping that I can get the support that I need from people around the world that'll keep Positive Talk Radio going, because I get to talk to people like you. And I know your background. I know that you are centered in you believe in humanity and you really want to help people. And so we're going to run. Dang it, we're going to run out of time. So you're going to have to come back.
Okay, let's do it.
So we've just got about a minute and a half. I'm going to I'm going to step aside, and I want you to tell our audience anything that you would like them to know.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I do. I have one thing for you to check out. I want you all to go on Amazon, and if you go on Amazon and look up Pipsqueak Piano Book on Amazon, you're gonna find a book series, and this one right here, the toddler one. This was kind of my fun little thing I put out on Amazon. I really put it there just so that parents had an easy way to download or buy the book if they wanted it, even though it comes with all of the kids in the program that they enroll in. But you know what? This book has actually been selling really well and all over the world. It's been selling in Australia and Germany and Canada, and I sell it almost daily, and I don't advertise for it at all. So please go check this out. Go check out Pipsqueak Piano, and you'll also find studies show you'll find the other amazing musicians who are also out there doing what I'm doing. There are people out there who also believe in the advocacy of preschool piano and preschool music, and you'll find all of that on my website, pipsqueakpiano.com. So thank you so much again, Kevin, for having me here today. And you know what? I think that your mission is amazing, and I hope to serve you on your mission too.
You're coming back because we've got more to talk about. You need to put your book on your website. Dang it. I didn't see it. So
I think it's there. Curriculum. I got to make it better then. I got to make it easier for you to get note taken, mister. Note taken.
Brittany Smith, she is a singer with the band Limberlost. She has got Pipsqueak Piano. Have your kid take piano lessons from her or somebody that she recommends. I highly encourage it. And thank you so much for being here. I've enjoyed this hour immensely.
Thanks so much, Kevin. I really, really enjoyed it. Thanks.
And by the way, everybody, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got. And we'll see you at 3 o'clock on Kixie.